What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Donald Trump has just got a major win from the Supreme Court. Check this out, y'all. Trump celebrates Supreme Court birthright citizenship ruling. Now, the ruling itself wasn't necessarily about birthright citizenship, but it was more about the nationwide injunctions pertaining to birthright citizenship. But this is a good precedent to set. This is going to slow down, if not outright halt, nationwide injunctions. This is massive for the Trump administration. Now, this does not take away the current other nationwide injunctions that are currently put in place against the Trump administration. But once again, folks, this will go to the future, if you will. This is great. And this actually, it is pertaining to birthright citizenship a little bit, because it allows the Trump administration to start enforcing its executive order, which is great. Which is really great, y'all. President Trump on Friday celebrated the Supreme Court ruling that allowed his executive order restricting birthright citizenship to go into effect in some areas of the country. He called the ruling a giant win and announced that he will be speaking about it in a press conference at 11:30 a.m. That was yesterday morning. I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of late to the news, but like I said, I got a 7 to 3:30 job, and I got to work all day, and then I got to come home, and then I got to research news and fact check that news. And then I've got to record and then edit and upload, so I don't have a whole hell of a lot of time. So I'm sorry if I get a little bit late, but hey, at least you're getting the facts, right? Giant win in the United States Supreme Court. Even the birthright citizenship hoax has been indirectly hit hard. It had to do with the babies of slaves, same year, not the scamming of our immigration process. Congratulations to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General John Sauer, and the entire DOJ. News conference at the White House, 11:30 Eastern, he said on Truth Social. The High Court's decision found that 3 federal district judges went too far in issuing nationwide injunctions, allowing blocks on Trump's birthright citizenship ban only in Democratic-run states that have filed challenges against it. In the other states, the Trump administration may resume developing guidance to implement the order, though they must wait 30 days before attempting to deny citizenship to anyone. The ruling, though, does not yet definitively resolve whether Trump's restrictions on birthright citizenship are constitutional. The limits nationwide injunctions will likely have a significant impact on legal battles beyond birthright citizenship, as the Trump administration is locked in battles over injunctions against many of Trump's policies. Attorney General Pam Bondi also took a victory lap after the ruling, celebrating what she described as the end to injunctions against Trump. Today, the Supreme Court instructed district courts to stop the endless barrage of nationwide injunctions against President Trump, Bondi said on X. She continues, "This would not have been possible without tireless work from our excellent lawyers at the Justice Department and our Solicitor General John Sauer. This Department of Justice will continue to zealously defend at POTUS's policies and his authority to implement them." This is great, y'all. I am loving this, and I can't wait until the birthright citizenship case gets to the Supreme Court, because I am very curious to see exactly where those justices, and to see if they are actually conservative justices, to see exactly how they fall on this. If we actually have conservative justices, they will definitely rule in favor of the Trump administration on this issue, because I can promise you, if you go and read up on the 14th Amendment, it was never meant to be perverted in the way that it is being perverted. It was never meant to have people cross into our country illegally for the sole purpose of having a baby within this country, so that that baby would anchor them to this country and force the United States by manipulation to allow them to stay in the country, whether it's legally or illegally. Right? It was never meant for that purpose, folks. So, and that's exactly what the Trump administration does. It doesn't deny anybody that is already a citizenship their citizenship status. This would be from day one. You know, it doesn't retroactively cover anybody in the past. In other words, it's not a retcon. So this would be from now on. But, you know, and it doesn't stop anybody else. If you come into the country legally, right? If you're here through legal processes, then you're fine. You can have a baby, and that baby will be a U.S. citizen. It doesn't stop that. It's the people that come in illegally and stay here just for that purpose, right? So you might think, well, how do you know that that's the reason they're here for? Well, it just pertains to criminal aliens, essentially. If you are illegal in this country and you have a baby, that baby will not be a U.S. citizen because you are not under our jurisdiction, because we don't know that you're actually in the country, right? If we can't prove that you've been living here. The executive order expounds upon that, and it goes through all kinds of details, and I'm not going to get into all that here, but, you know, it really is a good ruling. Once again, though, you know, outside of the birthright citizenship nonsense, which I hope they find, like I said, if we actually have conservative justices, they will rule in favor of that, because that is just a blatant perversion of our Constitution. It was never meant for that. If you look it up, that the 14th Amendment was meant for slaves and their children to become citizens, because we were, you know, giving out rights, we were doling out the rights. And that was part of it. They were going to be citizens because they needed that citizenship status to be able to become productive members of society. For goodness sakes, we just fought, we know, the bloodiest war in American history. And, you know, they needed that citizenship. They needed that justification. We needed to remedy a very massive problem that we had in this country. So that's good on them. But the nationwide injunctions, this is great, y'all. This is really, really is good. And I am elated with how this turned out. And I called it a while back. The Supreme Court, they must rule on this. Now, we've seen committee hearings on this where they're thinking about proposing legislation to strip that power away from the judiciary, and I still think that needs to go through, most definitely, because it needs to become illegal, right? It's like I always say, you never have to worry about if something is legal to do. You need to worry about if it is illegal to do, because, you know, you might think that, well, that's not much of a difference. Well, it kind of is, because anything that is not illegal is legal. So that's why I'm saying you don't need to worry about if it's legal. You just need to worry about if it's illegal. And if nationwide injunctions are absolutely illegal, then yes. Now, it does set a pretty good precedent, to be honest with you. Now, the critics of this, they're going to say, oh, well, you know, what are you going to have to make everybody in the country, you know, or of whatever class or whatever it may be? Is everybody going to have to file lawsuits? Well, yes, this is why we made class action lawsuits, so that people from around the whole country can sign on to this lawsuit and they'll be covered under whatever ruling that comes from whatever court. That's what the purpose of that was. These nationwide injunctions just spit in the face of that. They just say, no, we don't need it. It gives the power to a single federal judge to rule by decree. And they have been doing that, especially in Trump 2.0. They have most definitely been doing that. Like, if you look at the executive order pertaining to trans people in the military, that judge ruled, and it was an insane ruling, that no, Trump can't do this. You must allow everybody. All means all is exactly what he said. So that set a terrible precedent. It's a ridiculous precedent, because now you can just, you know, you're going to be forced to recruit serial killers and paraplegics that can't pass the damn basic training, for crying out loud. I mean, we have minimal standards that we need for our military. You know, it's not conscription over here. You know, we don't do that. We have an all-volunteer military, professional military. So we need standards we must portray, right? And that goes against that motto, that ethos, if you will. Which, it's just nuts. These judges, once again, the activist judges just activating themselves in the most deranged way possible, just to counter Donald Trump. They are just the antithesis of Donald Trump. Anything Donald Trump does, they got to do the opposite. You know, that's why the meme goes, you know, Donald Trump comes out in favor of his own impeachment to make Democrats oppose his impeachment. It's fascinating. That was the Babylon Bee did that meme a while back. That's funny. But this is a great win, y'all. And I've rambled on for long enough. So I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this. Blows my mind. You know, it's win after win after win. And it's terrible that it's having to make its way to the Supreme Court to get these wins. You know, he's not getting hardly any relief from the appeals court. You know, we could see that the federal judges, the federal circuit, they put a lot of activist judges on the circuit during the Biden administration. 235 to be precise. It's just crazy, y'all. But, you know, it's a shame that these judges are acting the way that they are. You know, a lot of people are calling it a judicial coup, which I happen to agree with that. I think it is a judicial coup. It's just crazy, y'all. And now my words are starting to slur. So, y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Y'all stay legitical. Peace.